was so much fun. That Quidditch match, oh my gosh. I wish you guys were there, but you were doing geek versus geek. But it's all right, because we won.
We did.
Yes,
so
we did.
Now we're talking about magical schools. We're moving on to our main...
Gryffindor, always.
But he's not a Gryffindor.
He's a Gryffindor. Close enough.
I'm a Slytherpuff.
No, he's a Gryffindor.
And House Elf!
I'll give you a sock later. I love
Okay,
you.
here you go. Thank you.
But if you give him a sock,
Thank
he won't
you.
have one
Bye-bye.
anymore.
But
You do realize that if you give him a sock, you're not going to have a house elf anymore.
It's okay.
it's all right, we got like 5 more. Anyways, on with the topic.
Now we're moving on to the main subject. We're talking about magical schools and how basically geekdom has taken them over.
Yes.
And they've always been a geek thing, but in this case, like, we have Camp Half-Blood, we have Hogwarts, we have the worst school from the worst witch. I forgot what that one's called.
Miss Cackles.
Yeah, Miss Cackles. We have, what was that movie that just came out? The Miss Peregrine? Miss Peregrine, thank you. I was trying to remember it. Remember to start with a P. Miss Peregrine's house. Yes.
Because it's a Peregrine Falcon.
Right. And we have a lot of them. We've had a lot through the years. I mean, you could even say Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters is a magical house. Instead of magic, it's genetics, of course, but whatever. But we've always been obsessed with magical schools or schools of the weird. Why do you guys think that? Let's start with Jeffrey and move our way forward.
What, for the schools of the weird?
Yeah, like why are we obsessed with magical schools?
Because, I mean, you think about it, you can go back in time, you relive your imagination as either an adult or even a kid, and it's just something that brings out the imagination in you, your artistic skills and so forth. I mean, you know, Sherwood Forest Fair has a Renaissance theme summer camp that I was part of for a while, and it's still going really amazingly awesome. You get to go back in the land and meet King Richard. You get to go and fight with Robin Hood, who teaches you archery, and you know, you got the Huns. I mean, you've got all sorts of like the history, the magic that follows. It's just, it really brings out the artistic skill in you and it helps you bring out the imagination and help you develop as a character, as a person.
Definitely.
So what do you think, Mika? Why are we obsessed with magical schools?
A lot of reasons. I think one of the main reasons is most geeky friends that I have, and myself, this includes me, didn't have a lot of friends growing up. Like, I grew up in a really tiny country town in Oklahoma, and there weren't a lot of geeky people. And I think the idea of a school where you can go and fit in and be your own weird self just sounds really amazing. And not be judged about it? Yeah, exactly. Like an accepting environment, and all the magical subjects and all the things that you get to learn just seem like a ton of fun. Like, who wouldn't want to have a pet owl, or like Camp Half-Blood, learn how to fight as a demigod, or have like a godly parent? That's super cool stuff.
So I have a question for you, since you came from Oklahoma, but I came from like a small town, Central Texas. How was it the first time meeting someone who was a geek who wasn't immediately one of your friends?
I freaked out. I was wearing a Trigun shirt, and she was like, "Oh, is that a Trigun shirt?" And I just freaked out. I was like, "Another nerd, my people!"
Yeah, so a lot of people never get that.
How
like,
nerds react.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think Mika touched on something really important, which is the culture of acceptance that permutates basically every variation of a magical school. In Peregrines, it's all about the outcasts, the abnormal ones. In Harry Potter, Luna is completely accepted for the most part, even amongst all of the people. And
she's understood, but not. She's accepted.
Yeah,
She's
very
accepted,
well said.
but not understood.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's an issue that I think like a lot of kids face in discovering their own identity, finding out who they are, and being able to read about or see or feel a part of an environment where it's okay to be who you are. That's invaluable. And that's why I think, especially within a lot of young adult, specifically targeted literature, film, things like that, you see these environments everywhere because all of these kids struggle with their identity and who they are as they're growing up, and that's something that they identify with really easily.
Harley?
I'm gonna have to agree with it. It's the acceptance. You know, I grew up, with not a lot of friends. I was the only child. And where I lived in Mississippi, it wasn't really, I came from Japan where everything was kind of a thing. And then you go moving in a small town in Mississippi and nobody understands you, nobody understands what the things you like, and being able to find a place where everybody understands, they know exactly what you're talking about, and they don't look at you like, okay.
You need help. It's the same question I asked Mika. How was it the first time meeting someone who was a geek that wasn't immediately one of your friends? Did you just like, there is people like us?
I know, it was like, I got really excited because it was my first time at one of those, Scholastic book fairs.
Yeah.
And they had a Dragon Ball Z art book. And I bought it, and then, the kid I was hanging out with, like, later moved and stole my Dragon Ball Z art book, that jerk face.
No.
But I was like, I got really excited because people understood what I was into. And I mean, I still have Pokemon that they haven't come out with. I have Pokemon figures and Dragon Ball Z figures that you can't get anymore.
Do you have over 9,000?
No. I wish I had over 9,000.
I feel bad about that. Too.
don't.
So my thought is also they make great metaphors. Like
They do.
magical schools, like you said, they're about acceptance. Harry himself, like a lot of people come from maybe step families or just even normal families that are not the best, and things got better for them by going to school, maybe even going up to a college level schooling. And it's like, I can understand where Harry's coming from. I got my acceptance letter, and that was the greatest day of my life.
I got an
That-
acceptance letter for Christmas last year, and I cried.
Right,
Aw.
and it's like people. It's about moving forward, and that's why I think Harry Potter, particularly Harry Potter, and even Camp Half-Blood, the Percy Jackson franchise, like speaks to a lot of people because they don't start off in the best light. Harry doesn't
Right.
start off in a perfect family. Percy doesn't know who his father is. His mother married a scumbag of a human being, and later you find out why she did that, because it was to protect her son. But
Spoiler alert.
yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for a 12-year-old
Too
book.
late.
I apologize. That also got turned into a movie.
The book's been out for like what? How many years? 20?
12.
12.
In that same vein, though, in Percy Jackson, they touch a lot on dyslexia and ADHD, and those are traits that demigod children have. So I think it helps a lot of kids that have those, issues see that, that is normal, and you can still be the hero
I'm a demigod.
and have, you don't have to be perfect to be the hero. And I think that's really good
Also,
for them to see.
touching a little on Percy Jackson, the God of War. She doesn't want to be as angry. The daughter of the God of War,
Ares.
Yeah.
Ares, doesn't
Ares.
want to be as angry as she is, but she's
Angry.
She's angry because it's in her DNA. And I think with Harry Potter, like Luna is a great example of members of the LGBT community, understood but not fitting in. Fitting in but not quite understood. And there's a lot of metaphors really easily. And like the Slytherin house can be looked as the preppy kids. In the beginning, they're looked at as
They're
the
the jocks.
They're well, not so much the jocks, but the preppy kids, the ones that have all the best stuff. A lot of the kids from Slytherin are from very well-to-do houses. So you can see that, like, oh yeah, I know that kid. The Gryffindors are all people who are about friendship. The Hufflepuffs are all about people.
Food.
Well, no, it's not about food, but they're the caretaker ones. They're the ones who worry about people's personal health. The Ravenclaws are the peacemakers of the match.
To get in their house, you have to go through the kitchen.
And that's the one thing I really like about going back on acceptance is that there's kids out there who do get picked on a lot with their geeky selves, and when they get to go to these camps or otherwise, they actually get to embrace themselves and be with their own cultured people, and actually get to communicate and relate to without being picked on, without being ridiculed of what they're into. All these magical camps and all these themed summer camps and everything else in between it's helped our culture so much, because now there's a lot of kids going to these, and now there's a lot of kids that are actually able to develop into their own person and relate with others. Look at all of us. Me myself, when I was a kid, I was picked on a whole lot, and I didn't really have a best friend or anything until my freshman year of high school, summer school and that's where I met my best friend, and she was drawing a dragon, and it was something that I was so infatuated with that her and we've been best friends for over 17 years. And if it wasn't for her, I don't know where I would have been, because I'm able to relate with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like, so, as somebody that, still, being in Austin, I have a lot of friends now. All of you guys become my friends, my family, but, I still have my moments where, I just want to be alone. And even then, I've been able to find places in these books and happy places where, when I do feel like that, I can just go and go see old friends.
Yeah.
I read the Harry Potter series every year. I pick them up from start to finish at least once a year. And, it's not, I don't have to say goodbye at the end. I just say, I'll see you later.
Always.
And always. And, I know. And I've been able to.
I have feelings now.
You didn't need those. You didn't need your heart today, did you?
Before I came here, I was looking at, I was watching this Percy Jackson thing on YouTube, and I don't know if you guys know, but there's a real Camp Half-Blood here in Austin. If you
Yes.
guys,
There is.
if you don't know when you're watching this,
we had Hamby.
go check it out. It's amazing. I was given the amazing privilege to be able to work there this past year as a counselor for Camp Jupiter. I was the Roman counselor. My godly parent was Venus, of course.
How is she doing, by the way? Is she doing pretty good?
Fantastic as always.
That's so good.
But like Jeffrey said, these kids, they look forward to this week all year. It's a week-long day camp.
Yep.
And the man that runs it, his name is Topher, and Dalen is the assistant camp director. They're both amazing people, but these kids, they say things to you and they'll tell you that, you know, they didn't feel like they fit in at school, but they came here and now they believe in themselves more and they've taken on extracurricular activities at school and started to put themselves out there. And I think if you could give a tiny human one thing, teaching them to believe in themselves and showing them that no matter how shy they are or no matter how awkward they feel, they're amazing, I think just giving them that at a young age is just so important. And I think it's a really beautiful thing.
It also breaks that fourth wall, you know?
Yeah.
It really does. Like, you know, it's like, say you and I, like, I didn't even know who you were. I was just like, I don't know. And then you came along, you're like, hey, blah, blah, geek, 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 geek. And I was like, oh, hey. So I was able to break that fourth wall because you're, you know, that kind of stuff influences kids and
Exactly.
and helps them develop so much.
With Return of the Worst Witch,
I love it.
with Harry Potter's never-ending love, I mean, they have like what, 2 more movies coming out in the near future?
Yes, we
Fantastic
get
Beasts Part
2 more
Part 3?
Fantastic Beasts. They're actually doing the movie section for Cursed Child.
Yes.
Right.
So, you know, we have Pottermore. I recently discovered a wonderful website called Hex RPG. And it's Hogwarts Extreme. And you literally, every year starting September 1st, going till June 2nd, they actually run a magical school. And you can do it online. I'm actually already finished my homework. So find me online.
Wait, they
Hex
give you
RPG.
homework?
You can.
I'm out.
Oh, no, it's easy. It's easy.
Wait,
Got to, what, 12 years of
I'm not the smart kind of geek. I'm just the dorky kind of
Oh, no,
geek.
this is easy. You actually learn everything. J.K. Rowling actually wrote all the classes.
She's amazing.
that-
So you actually
that's cool.
have all of the stuff that everybody else learned at Hogwarts that, you know, you always wondered. You actually get to take those classes.
Do I get an owl?
So,
You do get you can owl,
I'm alright with
cat,
that.
or a.
so,
Do you get a brooding professor to stand
Yes,
behind
you get
you
a
and call
great
your
professor.
names? Okay.
so with all these, like literally the extreme amount of everything magical school, are we getting to the point where it's becoming too much of a trope or becoming too lazy of a trope?
No.
I mean, look at some of these, like, I'm not saying Miss Peregrine, but like, I mean, I've seen a couple where they were trying to make shows, like they're trying to copy like Xavier with Gifted, or they're just, are they
Magicians.
the magicians? Yeah, I mean,
Which is
like,
a
are they
good
getting
show.
it? But are we getting to the point where it's getting now too, I guess, relied on because of how popular Harry Potter still is?
Let's start with you on this one. You look like you have a really good, you're like, hey, I know
He's
this.
so polite.
You're asking if it's becoming too much of a trope, and
Or is it becoming too lazy? Like, are they using it too much at this point?
I don't believe so. I think
Yeah.
that all of these are all about the different worlds that are built. They're all about the different characters that inhabit them. If you're talking about things that are used ubiquitously in literature, the hero's tale.
Yeah.
How many different iterations of that do we have across every genre, across every level of reading, and it's
I mean,
always there.
Yeah, we're doing it right now with you with Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. They literally follow the hero's tale. I think even Percy Jackson kind of breaks the fourth wall and going, are we following the hero's tale at this point? She even recognizes all the things he's doing.
Ever After High, you know, they actually go in to make the joke. I don't want to follow the story anymore.
I love Ever After High. I'm going to have to admit that.
I do too. I like Ever After High and oh God, I can't think of
Monster
the other one.
High or-
Monster High. I like them both.
Monster High.
I love Monster High, but you know, Ever After High, you know, they make that joke in the show like, are we really following the story? Can I change my story now?
Because the whole point is Raven doesn't want to become the evil queen because she sees at the end of the thing she dies a lonely life, and she's like, why do I want to go to school literally so I could do this? I don't want that.
Maddie's my favorite character.
Maddie
She
is-
brings the forth.
Maddie
Maddie is Deadpool.
So, you know, we got all these magical, like, camps and everything we get to go to, but does anyone ever, like, go to a festival or, like, a Renaissance fair when you dress up and you actually act the part?
Yes.
I look back.
That's how we met.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but, you
that's
know,
how
it's
we
like
met.
not just because I'm an actor as well, but because I just like dressing up and just being that different person and going out there and living my time. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I was picked on a lot of the stuff. I was really different from a lot of my friends that I had. Like, they did not have the imagination that I always had. So when I went to these Renaissance fairs, I went out and I did that stuff. And, you know, when I started working at summer camps and I was like, these kids, I didn't go to summer camp when I was a kid. I did a lot of summer
Same.
school to get a lot of stuff out of the way so I can take extra activities. And now when I go back to summer camps and I work at them, I do as much as I can and put as much imagination into kids' head because I know there's going to be something that sparks that would just set them off into a beautiful world that, and be more positive with the atmosphere that they're growing around.
Right. Ren fairs have the really unique aspect. If you are an actor, if you ever go to a Ren fair in character, you can be silly and interact with someone, and you can just make their day so easily. Just
Exactly.
a quick compliment
somebody
or
that
something.
owns a booth at a Ren fair, I have so much fun with people. Like, I have kids come out, and every day I throw out these silly little rocks in front of my shop, and just because kids like picking up shiny things.
They do.
Exactly.
And so I threw a bunch of,
And I've seen you done this
I do
before
every
several
morning.
times.
How old
I do
are
it
you?
every morning. I throw shiny rocks out, and
And you'll even catch adults doing this.
I know, I
just
see
picking
adults
up
like-
thank you, and it's just that little momentum that they
They're
have to
like-
bring home with them.
Yeah, I don't-
soot spirits, man.
I don't do that with Ren fairs because I don't go to a lot of them because I suffer heat stroke way too easily. I
yeah.
can't be in the
Yeah.
heat too long. I have to literally drink way too much fluid. You guys actually seen me do it. Too.
Yes.
You're like, why are you drinking so much? Because I'm going to die if I
Because
don't.
Texas.
But you
that's
know
why.
what? I've seen you when
Been
you
there.
go out. You've gotten
no-
in character a few times.
Yes, but you got to admit, if you've watched me do role playing when I'm doing the when I'm
it's like
GMing and
so
stuff.
into it.
Yeah, because I do GMing and stuff. So it's like you guys meet up with blah blah blah. And I'm like I have one of my favorites is doing East Texas University. So I always do the headmaster. And it's he's an old man from the south. Greetings, students. Hold on. I gotta do this right.
Wait for it. Here it goes.
Greetings, students of ETU.
Beard poking out. This is.
He's just
I
a
need you
beard
to
now.
ask me, did I put my name in the goblet of fire?
Calmly.
Harley,
Very calmly.
did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
See, that's how it should have been done.
Yeah,
not,
should have.
Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Freaks out.
Put your name in the goblet
Now for the movie version. Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Dumbledore comes out.
Okay, that's good.
Weasley twins talked me
And this is why we need these kind of camps out there. This is, we
they
get to
have
play
them
around.
already.
I'm happy
So-
we have them, and I'm happy there's still more going out. And I love this trend that's happening. You're seeing more and more develop throughout the states and throughout worldwide now too.
Yes.
I mean,
Just 'cause all
they
the
have the
influence that
Witcher
these
school
writers put in.
Poland. They have the
Yes.
Harry
Wait.
Potter school.
I have
Yes.
to go.
so
My friends go to that.
I can learn
awesome.
Polish real
every
quick.
time.
So my last
good.
question.
Had fun.
So my last question, because we do need to wrap up soon. If you were joined a magical school or camp,
No. don't
what
ask
would
me
your
that.
what would your club be? What club would you join?
Okay.
Oh god,
Let's-
I'd have to be the Quidditch team.
You're Quidditch. Okay. What
For
about
sure,
you?
Quidditch. And I feel like I'd be the seeker.
I feel I would be the seeker, but I also
Co-seekers.
I also think it'd be a blast to be a beater.
Yeah, I would be.
I only
We're out
see-
on people.
I feel like I would catch the snitch just much like Harry did. I would just like
Whoa,
in my
whoa.
mouth accidentally.
So you would be Quidditch. What would you be?
Are we talking about specifically the Harry Potter?
No,
one?
I don't know.
Any
And
magical
here's the
school.
thing.
Any
I will
magical
preface
school.
any magical
Man.
school, and it doesn't even have to be a real club. You can invent one right now because I already have one in my head.
Invent one right now.
Yeah.
I definitely got
Right,
one too.
meow.
I don't know. I am completely. You mentioned it just at the end, and I'm glad that someone at least mentioned it. But I would definitely be School of the Wolf and The Witcher. Like, I love everything about Geralt, and I know that I'd probably die in the process.
Yeah.
But I'd be willing
Be
to
a
take that
blast.
risk. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jeffrey? What club?
I almost want to get really teary-eyed about this one because this actually it was a live-action role play, but if this could be an actual thing, like a real club, and this gets rebirth again. I have to really thank Chris Glover, my co-host over at Combat Creations. It was
Shameless plugs.
ZBG Games, and it was the LARP he hosted was Traders Crossing. And if it wasn't for his LARP, I would have never seen you guys. I have never had much imagination. I would have not done the Renaissance fairs like I do today. And it's because of that is where I am. If I could, my club would be called Traders Crossing. And
You do realize we're making a park here for that, right?
I know. And Traders Crossing because I can go back, I can be the bard that I was or the wizard I was, and just the most kookiest, like fun, crazy adventures that we had, and it was just so much fun. And it just, it really made me into who I am today. really dead. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know where I am.
So mine would be literally dungeon crawling, because God knows those
That would be fun.
wizards and stuff probably have
Schools have
huge
weird
labyrinths and
dungeons.
dungeons that God knows what's inside of magical stuff and all sorts
There
of
was
things.
an old ancient
But you know what?
man who made this dungeon.
Considering that now we get to have lots of fun, next is going to be our top 10 list, where we're going to find out some interesting things about what we consider our top 10 fandoms that need their own school. And so we're going to move on from there, and we'll see you guys here in just a moment.
Stay tuned.